What does RFK Jr. have against beans? Every 5 years, the federal government updates and releases the Dietary Guidelines for Americans. It's a sweeping nutritional guide that contains general principles for a balanced diet and specific advice for certain demographics, such as pregnant women and children. The Dietary Guidelines are released by the Department of Health and Human Services and the USDA. The agencies are required to update them every 5 years. But before they do, a task force of scientists studies the most recent food research and advises the agency heads on how best to update them. In 2024, this task force released its findings ahead of the update. Among other things, the scientists recommended that Americans replace red meat with beans and legumes, as doing so has been shown to reduce one's risk of cardiovascular disease. But Robert F. Kennedy Jr., in his capacity as Health and Human Services Secretary, vetoed that proposal, calling the task force's suggestions a political document that serves special interests and pledging to rewrite them. The nature of Kennedy's objections is unclear, but Christopher Gardner, a member of the advisory group who helped write that report, speculated that Kennedy may have been displeased that the report didn't explicitly advise against eating ultra-processed foods, which is a pet issue of Kennedy's. Ultra-processed foods are a complicated topic. Some are very unhealthy, specifically ultra-processed meats, snacks, candy, and sugary drinks. But other ultra-processed foods, like veggie burgers, are perfectly nutritious and safe. Gardner tells Sentient that this is one reason the group didn't issue a blanket condemnation of ultra-processed foods in its report. Under federal law, the government is required to release the new Dietary Guidelines by the end of the year. Kennedy originally said that the next version would be just 4 pages long and would be released before August. That didn't happen, and the secretary now says they'll be released by October. This may seem like an obscure government document, but the Dietary Guidelines have major implications. In addition to advising everyday Americans on their diets, they also help guide more than $40 billion in federal food spending and play a major role in shaping federal food programs like SNAP and school lunches. The next version of the Dietary Guidelines will help determine what millions of Americans eat over the next 5 years. But as of now, what exactly it will advise is anybody's guess. Read the whole story at sentientmedia.org.